until June 30, 2021. Yun naman pong mga related issuances are in support of the implementation of this Republic Act number 11494. Meron po tayong mga issuances, OP, Administrative Order, para sa actual hazard duty pay, ang DBM-DOH Joint Circular. Ang ganoon din po, makikita ninyo, hindi ko na po iisa-isahin, ang ibig sabihin lang po nito, malinaw po ang ating pong mga panuntunan para po maibigay ang kanila po mga benefits. Next slide. For the provision of the actual hazard duty pay, ito po frontline healthcare workers shall refer to medical, allied medical, and other personnel in the public sector who are involved in the national healthcare response to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19 and prevent further loss of lives, as in AO number 35. Doon naman po sa provision ng SRA, public and private healthcare workers, shall refer to medical, allied medical, and other personnel who directly provide treatment and support care to COVID-19 patients as reflected in AO number 36. Next slide, please. Dito na po makikita ang pondo na ating pong iginayad para po masakupan ito pong mga benefisyong aking natanggap. So dito po sa first column, makikita yung benefit, tapos yung period coverage, September 15 to December 19, AHDP, Mr. President, ang ating pong bayaran, we obligated 3,357,053,616, at ang beneficiaryo po nito ay 384,159 healthcare workers. So, halo-halo na po yan. Nurses, doctors, midwives, mga medtechs, lab techs, etc. Dito naman po sa pero dito po sa actual hazard duty pay, ang malinaw po dito, yung actual na talagang na-expose po sila. Dito po sa patient care. At ito naman na special risk allowance na 3,210,833,000 thereabouts ay ang nakatanggap na po dito, Mr. President, 306,314 healthcare workers. On top of this, meron po tayong provision of accommodation, meals, and transportation na nagkakahalaga na 1.26 billion thereabouts. Ang beneficiary po nito ay umabot sa 103,096 healthcare workers. At meron pa nga po yung life insurance na umaabot ng ang binayaran po ng ating gobyerno ay 16,269,000 thereabouts. At ang nakatanggap ng insurance na ito ay 32,281. Yun naman pong pangalawang benefit period covering December 19, 2020 hanggang June 30, 2021. Meron po tayong special risk allowance at dito po ang naibigay po natin ay 7.12 billion thereabouts. At ang nakatanggap po naman dito ay ang mga healthcare workers na 379,117. Ibig ko lang pong bigyan din na ang pagbibigay po ng special risk allowance ay qualified po ito under the law. At ang sinasabi po doon, yun lang po makakatanggap ay yung meron pong direct patient care, no? Direct care of COVID cases. No? So hindi po batay sa batas ay hindi po lahat nabibigyan. At dito po ang nagiging problema. Kasi marami pong mga healthcare workers na nagrereklamo at sinasabi nila sa isang hospital, halos para-pareho na exposure namin dyan dahil may mga COVID dyan. At dahil ho rito, Mr. President, ay minabuti po namin na kung hanggat sa maaari, nung nagkaroon po ng hearing sa Senado at ang Chairman Mike Aguinaldo ng COA, ay pag-uusapan po kung paano magkaroon ng liberal interpretation na parang hindi lamang po yung mga patients who are directly caring for COVID cases, kundi pati na rin yung mga iba ay dapat makatanggap. Dahil mahirap nga naman po patunayan sino nga ba yung directly na nangangalaga. Halimbawa, janitor, pumunta sa loob ng isang kwarto ng pasyente, naglinis. Ayan ba ay patient, meron bang direct exposure yan sa COVID case? So, napaka-masalimuot, napaka-mahirap. Kaya ang gusto nga po ng Senado sa hearing po namin ng isang araw at saka si Chairman Aguinaldo at sinang-ayunan ko naman po ay sana makagawa rin sila ng amyenda sa batas para mas liberal ang interpretation at hanggang sa maaari ay makatatanggap. Because of this, Mr. President, ay ibig ko rin pong idagdag na yung pong mga ibang healthcare workers na nagreklamo wala po sa mga private hospitals dahil nga sa di umano hindi sila nakatanggap ng kanilang special risk allowance. At nagkaroon po ng budget request ang Department of Health sa DBM at matapos po mag-expire ang Bayanihan 2 funds ay ang DOH po ay patuloy na tumatanggap ng mga listahan ng mga eligible healthcare workers para po makatanggap ng SRA. Ito po ay galing sa mga iba't ibang ospital. Mga private po na mga healthcare workers ang karamihan po dito. Noong pong last August 13, ang DOH po ay sumulat sa DBM at naigin na maganda naman po andyan si Sec. Ina Kanda. At kami po ay humiling. We requested for additional 311 million thereabouts, 311 million pesos to cover payment of additional SRA that would benefit more or less about 20,156 additional healthcare workers. At noong Agosto, ika-19 ng Agosto, ang DBM naman po ay tumugon doon sa aming pong kahilingan at sabi niya, masaya mag-submit kayo ng additional documents para kanila pong ma-evaluate yung request. At matapos nga po kaming nagkaroon ng hearing sa Senado at sa House of Representatives, ay nagsubmit na ang DOH to DBM yung mga karagdagan submissions, yung mga listahan galing po sa mga facilities para po makasama at sakasakaling mabigyan kami ng BBM o magabayan kami ng BBM kung saan pupunin yung pondo, ay makakatanggap po sila ng kanilang SRA. Yung pangalawang issue po, Mr. President, ay yung naman extension of mga contract of vaccinators. Tama po kayo, binanggit niyo kanina, kailangan po talaga natin ng mga bakunador. At nang sa ganon ay matulungan, masuportahan ang ating mga pamahalaan lokal na mas mabilis mapalawig nila ang vaccination coverage. Noong po July 9, ang DOH ay humiling. Nag-request po kami ng 3.6 billion, thereabouts, additional funding support to cover renewal of contracts of human resource for health personnel under emergency hiring at kasama po rito yung request ng 4,800 health workers para po sa vaccination program ng ating pong gobyerno at ang katumpas po nito ay about 2.03 billion pesos. Noong pong last July 21, ang DBM naman po ay tumugon sa amin at binalik yung aming request. Sabi yung pending DOH submission of documents at yun naman po amin sinunod as of July 26, pinadala po namin sa DBM. At nag-follow-up letter po kami noong August 5 para po mapagpatuloy ang serbisyo ditong mga healthcare workers from September to December 2021. Ang panghuli na lang po na isa rin na matunog na issue patungkol sa mga COA observations po, ay yung 59 billion na sinasabi ng unutilized DOH funds. Ibig ko lang pong ipaliwanag, Mr. President, na yung naiulat na 59 billion peso unused DOH funds ay consist of 24.6 billion na unobligated funds, no? Na ito'y dinagdag doon sa obligated at undisbursed, hindi po na-disbursed na funds na 34.5 billion pesos. At ito naman po, ang funding sources ay 2019 CONAP at saka yung po 2020 GOB. Doon po sa 24.6 billion unobligated funds, 17.8 billion naman po ay kasalukuyang available po siya para gamitin ngayong taon. In fact, of this, ang nagamit na po ng inyong DOH ay 12.56 billion pesos. Katumbas po nito ay 72% noong 17.8 billion as of June 2021, gamit po ito. Bahagi din po nito ay inilaan para po sa procurement ng medicines at ang pagbayad ng mga sweldo at benepisyo ng ating mga healthcare workers. Doon naman po sa natitirang 7.19 or 7.19 billion, kami po ay humiling or requested for reissuance from DBM of SARO for 4.7 billion under the Foreign Assisted Projects or COVID response. Samantalang yung 2.4 billion, ito po yung napasok. Lapse is our funds from the 2019 GAA and from Bayanihan 1 and some other laws. By operation of law, nag-lapse po itong mga ito. Ngayon, mapunta naman tayo, panghuli na lang po doon sa 34.38 billion unpaid obligations. These funds were obligated before the end of 2020. At ito po ay gagamitin pambayad po sa mga goods and commodities pending deliveries. No? Naantay pa po yan, yung mga deliveries yan, at bayad din po yan doon sa mga infrastructure projects for completion all for this year. So hindi po ito parang masayang na hindi nagamit, tinagamit po ito. Ang mayorya, ang malaking bahagi ng budget na ito ay magagamit pa rin po dahil hanggang 2021 naman po ang kanyang application. So yan na lang po, Mr. President, ang ibig kong iulat sa inyo at kung may katanungan po kayo dyan ay pwedeng masagot po po yan at andyan din po si Yusek Leopoldo Bonvega, Yusek for Administration and Finance. So maraming salamat po, Mr. President, sa pagkakataon.
Salamat po. May I make some statements for the public. This is in connection or a clarification of the alleged high-price masks and face shields and the DOH transferred funds to the Procurement Service, PSDBM. Meron tayong taga DBM reacting kasi masakitin na kabisado ay quadruple ng ano niya operation, pati yung ano yung tinamaan talaga siya sa COVID. So na so, almost hospitalized for 10 days and 30 days immobilized. Tingin ko pagka yung volume ng trabaho nito sa DBM, yun ang papatay sa kanya. But in the Senate hearing, the procurement of the electronic price face mask and shields, including the transfer of 32 billion from DOH to PSDBM, was brought up. Kasali ito sa investigasyon. According to PSDBM, these items were procured last March to April 2020 at the height of the COVID-19 outbreak, when the prices of the medical supplies, including face masks and face shield, skyrocketed due to the scarcity of the supply and the abrupt increase in demand. But for the transfer of funds without memorandum of agreement, face masks and shields are included in the common use supplies and equipment in the list of the PSDBM. Under the Administrative Order Number 7, Series of 2011, in relation to Section 53 ERA number 9184 of the Procurement Reform Act, government agencies are required to procure CSEs directly from PSDBM. Moreover, under Government Procurement Policy Board Resolution number 2019 dated October of 2018, government agencies are required to deposit cash funds to the PSDBM for the CE requirement without the need of a MOA. Now, let me just, I think I remember, nag-ano tayo, cabinet meeting tayo, pagka, right after I constituted the task force. I remember distinctly, sinabi ko kay Secretary Rodrigo, bumili ka ng kailangan ng face mask or whatever is needed, equipment. Sabi ko, huwag ka nang mag-bidding, matagal yan. Sabi ko, do it upon, sabi mo, take it to record na utos ko. But despite of the order ko na huwag ka nang mag-bidding, it's pandemic, it's an emergency. Nevertheless, yung letter on that tumaan pa rin sa bidding si Secretary Dugo. So, he was just being careful. Alam mo, sa totoo lang, nung pagputok nitong pandemic, walang mga face mask, walang face shield. Kaya sabi ko, hanap ka, huwag ka na magpa-bidding, sabi ko, diretso na kasi emergency. So, at that time, it's always the law of supply and demand. Kung maraming supply, mura. Kung walang supply, less demand. Supply and demand. Very demand. Pag later, supply. Ganito, so sabi ko sa kanya, huwag ka nang pag-bidding diretso na. So I want to make it a record to the public and everybody that I and the cabinet knew about it. Kung may order, sabi ko, go ahead and buy the things that you need to fight the pandemic na. So sabi ko, emergency ito. Emergency hanggang ngayon. So just to disabuse the minds of some people about corruption. It ain't here at this time. And I suppose that you are part of the wrong corruption. And the next that we would be interested to hear is Secretary Ramon Lopez of the DTI. He might want to
Okay.
help us explain the pricing of the mask and the facials at the time at any at one time, another time it became more expensive. Then why it became cheaper and eventually cheapest. Why was the parang ikaw yung alam mo yung mga presyo na yun at the time. So can you kindly explain to the public why that was the case?
Okay, thank you po Mr. President to me sa lahat, Senator Bongo, Mr. President at sa ating mga kasama. Naalala po natin nung nag-uumpisa na pong lumala ang pandemya noong March of 2020. Prior to that, we started to get more COVID cases. Pero noong March 2020 po, the President will recall that yun po yung series of cabinet meetings and the time that you also declared a lockdown. I think that was sometime March 15 of 2020 last year. Being in lockdown, isa po sa mga eventually nire-require ng government at that time was pag-umpisa na nung pagsuot ng face mask. So eventually po this has been required to the public. So we can imagine that from practically zero demand, wala namang gumagamit ng face mask ng araw, to something like millions of users of face mask. Yung mga panahon po na yan ng March of 2020 onwards, until, of course until now po. No? But given the huge increase in the demand, we all remember that yung demand ko to, and imagine po, wala pong local manufacturer niyan. Meron po isang local manufacturer sa Bataan, but it is an exporter, and all its products practically were exported. So we don't have a regular supply of face masks. If at all drugstores are just containing minimum inventory of face masks because it's not a regular requirement. So with the limited supply, as the President also explained earlier, and super increase and drastic increase in demand, nagkaroon po talaga ng scarcity at yung presyo po talaga nagtaasan. It was really uncontrollable simply because of the scarcity. Even us in the Department of Trade and Industry, and I know the Department of Health, the Department of Budget Management, we're trying to source also from imports at that time, I remember, because wala po tayong local supply. And even other countries are not even supplying us. Wala na rin makuha even from imports during those time of March, April, because they also needed the mask. Lumalala rin yung COVID dun sa mga iba-ibang countries na yon. So there was really a huge shortage ng mask at nag-canvas tayo sa ibang bansa at that time. So, at dahil po doon, ay sumobrang taas ng mask at to the point na I remember may papakita ko ako mga charts na during the time of mga March and April, the price of mask, imagine po, yung dati kung siguro wala pang 5 piso, ay naging around 28 or more, about 30 pesos per piece of a mask. No? So, may I request the Secretariat to flash the chart. Habang pina-flash po yan, even nung nag-try po tayong mag-introduce at mag-umpisa ng local manufacturing, nagkaubusan din itong tela mismo, trying to source the material. Because of the huge demand worldwide, may scarcity value rin, nagtaasan din ang presyo mismo ng materials. So, kung locally magagawa na natin, mataas ang presyo, kung bibilin din abroad, mataas na rin ang presyo because it was really a big demand po worldwide. Just to show po some slides, just to help us recall even the prices at that time. And I remember the DOH together with the DTI, nagtulong po kami na mag-set ng SRP, suggested retail price, at para ho ma-monitor natin yung presyo po nito because para makontrol natin yung pagtaas ng presyo even sa market. And we distinctly remember and we reviewed the documents, even mga news reports, if we can flash po the Secretariat can flash its charts. It showed po that at around March, we declared an SRP of 28 pesos per piece because the prices then were really going up even beyond 28 pesos. So at that point, 28 pesos was parang a suggested retail price or in effect a price cap at that time. So Secretariat, I hope we can flash the chart para lang mapakita na natin yung the memo at in those dates. And also some newspaper reports that reported na itong mga presyo na to were happening during those days towards March and April, covered by different news media. Nevertheless, anyway, kung wala pa yung slides, after that po, at that point in time, hindi pa required din yung face shield. So wala pa sa picture yung face shield. But eventually, with advice from health experts that are helping and advising the IATF, eventually, yung isang chart, yung isang set of slides. Eventually, ni-require na rin ang face shield. Ginawa pong siyang requirement. Ang una pong nag-require po no, the other set of slides po, Secretariat, hindi yan. Ang una pong nag-require nung face shield sa transportation. There was a memorandum from the Department of